afternoon and welcome sa CONVO Confessions and Volitions with yours truly, Joey Ting. At ngayon po makakasama natin, isa to sa mga hinahangaan ko pagdating po sa theater and education. And he's like a professor emeritus in the Ateneo de Manila University. He's an award-winning director for theater. And he's very, very good po in performance, no? Acting. Naku, mahusay po talaga siya. Grabe yung mga napanood ko when I was really immersed with the theater before I joined the academy. Please welcome Dr. Ricardo G. Abad. Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me, Joey. I do not know what will happen today, but let's give it a go.
Yes po. And actually, Sir Ricky, because talagang may lineup ako of guestings with Ateneo family, no? Kasi marami akong naging ka-close sa Ateneo during your time when you were artistic director of Tanghalang Ateneo. Sobrang ang dami kong naging friends po, no? With the likes of sina Don Caringal, sina Steven Uy, sina Miren Alvarez, and the so many, no? Kahit sina, ang dami kong naging friends po because you introduced us, the UP people, di ba? Yung kaming mga bagets sa time na yun, sina Dexter Santos, sina Taxor Takio, and then you introduced us to the Ateneo family, and you were so generous talaga when it comes to creativity and artistry. How are you po today? During the pandemic, kumusta po kayo? And I'm very happy to see you very, very well po, and you're doing great pa rin po at the same time.
Thank you. The pandemic was quiet, but it doesn't mean I was not busy. I did not do live theater, but I'm at Arete now, which is the creativity and innovation hub of the Ateneo, and we never stop. So we had to find ways in which to initiate creativity and innovation despite the lockdowns and the pandemic and the campus restrictions in campus access. Yeah. So I've been very busy trying to figure out. So we did many podcast readings, and that was a lot of things. Repurposing the venue to other things. The theaters were closed, but we were there, so we did something. And habang gumagaan yung alert level, ay increase naman yung aming activities na pinapapasok namin yung mga tao, mga readings for podcasts, mga students. It culminated last November when we had to stage Bayani on Andres Bonifacio na lockdown for 10 days, yung cast of 30 na yan. And then we recorded the play and then streamed it last month. And so that's it, last May. And that was the latest of thing. Now I am dreaming up as now nagbubukas na naman yung theater. Ang dami ko na mga ideas. I am planning maybe baka later na itong question. But anyway, I'm still busy thinking of things. Like one is NCCA called to have some sort of a collaborative program where there will be lectures on culture. So iniisip ko ano magandang lectures doon. Ayoko namang sabihin lang na rara Philippine ang culture, but medyo critical ng konti. Yeah, we talk about family, very important sa atin yan. But can we be a little critical about the family? Because the same families that we have, that we love and cherish, is also responsible for dynasties. All right? So, mayroong ganong klaseng criticalness na kailangan malaman ng mga tao. But I'm also thinking about getting an opera done and things like this. So, marami akong plano pang gusto gawin habang ako'y narito pa. So, the pandemic has been slow, but the mind has been working a lot, thinking of many projects to do.
Yeah. So how do you kill a day, no, during the time that we were locked down, no? Specifically tayo kasi medyo like ako meron akong hypertension, may mga ganun ako, so medyo scared akong lumabas talaga, so I'm really stuck inside the house, and I did a couple of things creatively inside the house. So did you do the same po ba?
Yeah, so but kami sa Arete, we don't see each other, but we have once a week staff meetings. So we always met. So we updated each other on each other's work, and then I would, as artistic director, it was my job to say, here are some of the projects that we might be able to engage. Let's discuss it and see what's feasible. So there, and then pag feasible, how do we do this online that's feasible? I'm lucky because I have a tech team handled by Dito Profesano, And you know what, this tech team, they live in that venue, all right? They stay there from Monday to Friday, or Monday to Friday or Saturday, and they live there. And so to fix the venue, to set up everything, they don't have to go home and risk their lives for the pandemic. So they're there, and we provide them with like food and things. And so pag kailangan namin ng technical assistance, nandun na sila. And they've been together for so long that they don't infect each other anymore kasi parang family na nga sila sa bahay.
Right.
So yun ang aming secret, a tech team that's always ready to work for some of these ideas that we have.
Yeah. And actually, mga anak-anakan ko nga itong mga nasa tech.
Exactly.
Si Di Cortesano, who's very prominent now. No?
FAU, tama. Oo, tapos yung iba kasama sa UP, marami sa kami mga tech na galing UP.
Right.
Na nag-move sa amin, na binigyan namin ng full-time contract. So I'm very grateful to UP for training them and in a sense coming to us.
Right. And ang ganda rin, may sense of family, no, when it comes to, di ba, initially working together sa simula, and then eventually, talagang nagkaroon na ng bonding and nagkaroon na ng establishment of relationships. Kaya maganda yan, si D. Cortesano, Adrian Ungriano, those in the FEU na at least ngayon, they're doing what they really want to do as their passion. And then they
look happy with what they're doing. Kasi I think they're owning their job well.
Yes.
To them, it's really, parang sila ang nagsimula kasi bago pa yung venue So sila talaga nagsisimula, ang pioneer tech team ng Arete. So I think they feel that's a stake to maintain that venue.
That venue. Actually,
the ownership.
Opo. Yung mga listeners natin and viewers, yung Arete is actually situated inside the Ateneo de Manila University campus in Loyola. And bago lang tong magandang theater na to, makikita niyo yung structure nito along Katipunan Avenue. Si Sir Ricky po, si Dr. Abad po ang kumbaga parang siya ang artistic director nito. He handles it. He handles the going ons, no? And the events and the productions being made. But currently you're residing in Quezon City po ba? Very near.
Yes,
very near ka lang naman sa Ateneo. At least if ever you're going to travel to Ateneo, malapit lang talaga, no?
Malapit lang.
And then ano ba yung mga may na-discover ka ba na to yourself na aside from doing the artistic life, meron ka ring mga domestic life like na-discover mo during the pandemic? Kunyari, plans or nag-cook ka na ito lang recent mo lang na-discover. How do you manage to do your domestic life?
Well, you see, I have a strange situation where my spouse likes me to work on my own and takes care of everything. But I have main responsibility is mainly to feed the animals. So which means that I am in charge of the dogs and the cats at home. All right, I'm in charge of some of the deliveries or whatever it is. But I live with my nephew and my wife and help, and all four of us, they kind of share the work. But they free me from a lot of these things. Sometimes I drive people to market or to groceries or to places. But the pandemic, you couldn't move very much, no? So a lot of deliveries. So we manage domestically, and I survive in part because I live in a village, so I think most every afternoon I take a walk around the village for about half an hour, 20 minutes to half an hour. In the evenings, where there are very few people on the street with a mask and so on. So I did manage to get some exercise throughout the pandemic, and I kept on that. So aside from the home, and of course at home there's a lot of thinking and working and writing, and that's another thing. I did a lot of things sa pandemic. Ang dami kong when you asked me to speak on creativity in Arellano, I was in the midst of 3 papers. Alright, so at first I didn't want to answer you yes directly because Joey, I don't know how to sing it this talk because I'm writing 3 papers, So ikaw na mapilit ka kasi.
Persistent,
So
persistent.
persistent. Saka you flattered me a lot. So I think, so I said yes. But I said yes when I had an idea of the topic I talked in mind. So when I had creativity, that's what I'll talk about. Everything fell into place kasi madali na yan pag meron na akong idea kung anong gagawin. I can just use up what I know and what I've read and put them together. So in a sense, it wasn't a problem at the end. But when you first asked me, I said, I do not know. I have to think about your paper, and I'm writing 3 others. So it's very stressful for me. I'm just in my office. Wala akong po sa library. Lahat ng research sa internet, saka libro ko dito. So I'm finishing writing 3 papers. One of which will be published before September on martial law. And maybe I can comment on that later. Because what I said has implications for the results of the elections now.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, maybe your audience should also know that I'm a sociologist as well.
Yes.
Na hindi lang ako artist, kundi I'm really a trained sociologist, and I went to the theater quite, not by accident naman, but by preference, because I was very active in college theater. And I could not join one without abandon the other. I had to live my life doing both. All right.
Yeah.
So both may suffer, but at least in me it is complete and whole. And I use the sociology for my theater, and I use sociology to interpret theater and to interpret the implications of theater. So I'm not just simply a crafts person doing directing, but trying to also think about what are the implications of the theater we are doing for society. Magandang maisip. And I'll tell you more about it later if you ask me what in the terms of the future plans.
At tama po yung sinabi ni Sir Ricky, no? Isa po siyang kilala din pong sociologist kasi napipicture nila na artist ka talaga, no? Kasi nga talagang ang dami niyo pong contribution sa arts. But at the same time, he's also a sociologist po. And kaya po siya patuloy na nagtuturo, no, sa Ateneo because he's a professor emeritus na. But recently lang naman po yung kaka-retire nyo lang, parang ganon, and then you were granted as professor emeritus. Ano po? Recently lang yun. So this happened before the pandemic.
Before the pandemic.
Before naging professor emeritus kayo. And nakita na natin yung you're a morning person ba or really a late person?
Before the pandemic, I'm an evening person. I love sleeping at 3 a.m. But now, after the pandemic, and because of the pandemic, I get sleepy early. So now I am a morning person. All right. So now I'm before 12 midnight. I'm asleep already. Before midnight, I'm just starting to think and elaborate. So my biological clock has shifted because of the pandemic, and as the pandemic became more lengthened, the more I became a morning person.
Yes.
So I'm a morning person.
Sir, buti hindi kayo nagkaroon ng parang anxiety or parang what's happening or bakit ganyan? Ba't may virus na kumakalat or something? So, buti hindi o nagkaroon kayo ng parang manic depression or something? Wala naman to.
Wala naman akong ganon. Importante, I think, ang importante ata na you protect yourself, na meron kang confidence na you're healthy. Yung nagsabi sa amin sa Ateneo Doctor, be confident that you're healthy enough so that you're immune. Your immunity is partly psychological. Hindi lang taking vitamin C and zinc, but mentally thinking that you are healthy and you can cope and you can do things. Kasi pag depressed ka, lalong mababa ang resistance mo to disease. So it's better to think strong and be confident and do things like if you exercise, you eat well, you sleep okay, yung mga ganong little bit, whatever you can do, unti-unting nalala mo, meron kang ginagawa para maging healthy ka. Yun ang malakas na pagbibigay ng confidence sa sarili mo para hindi ka tamaan masyado. Siyempre, pag-iingat rin sa labas. Oo. So, yun. So, hindi ako na naging depressed masyado. Medyo ako na sa isolation. Paglalakad sa college, talagang parang walang tao, parang it's like graveyard silence. So, you get released from reading novels where my mind is transported in other directions. When you watch movies, your mind is brought to another world. So, my imagination played a lot of role during the pandemic kasi I wasn't isolated because my mind was all over the place.
Yes.
Okay? In science fiction, in romance,
Kaya nga.
in parties, in sex films. lahat iniisip mo
Yes,
para
yes.
maalis ka dun sa
Right.
morass of individual things.
Right. And baka kasi did you become very addicted to Netflix, mga ganon? Are you into it?
I like Netflix because that's my only film source. Before that, it was YouTube, and then yung the Film Development Council had series,
Right.
and there are a number of things. And now I don't know. Now tama na sa akin yun kasi meron pang mga Hulu, may mga HBO, mga Amazon Prime, and masyado na marami yun. So I just limited self. I don't like naman to be so. Parang pang entertainment ko lang yun and to get some ideas. Like kunyari, people are talking a lot about Korean movies and
Yes.
and I could say, ano bang maganda sa Korean ito? So let me just watch some and see anong napupusuan ng mga tao sa Korean thing. And to me, they all look the same. The actors all look the same. Hindi ko ma-differentiate kung sino ba itong si Kim Jong-jung or Soo Jung-won.
Right,
I do
right.
not know what they are. They're all the same to me. So I look for plots, I look for style, I look for camera work to see what, and I notice some of them, they're quite sophisticated. They know how. And I look at the Filipino films also, not for analysis purposes. And I noticed na pag Filipino film is usually a love story, comedy, love triangle. Occasionally there will be some nice suspense thrillers, but mostly it's slapstick comedy or drama. But when you look at French, German, Korean, parang mas maraming genre silang in-experiment. So ay sabi ko, sana yung Filipino writing natin magkaroon ng yaman ng different kinds of things. But sometimes you come across something very interesting sa Philippine things and Philippine films, and I hope they continue in that respect. So it's also helped not only to entertain, but to also think about how our films compare with the Koreans, how our Asian films compare with the French, how the Americans compare with the German films and stuff like that. How are we compare with Indonesian or Malaysian films and stuff like that. I watched a Malaysian comedy. I could not laugh. I didn't find anything funny. So humor becomes a kind of cultural thing also.
Right.
So that's also interesting to see.
Akala ko kasi you're into like mga Korean series.
No, I'm only learning.
You're just watching it kasi nga you're trying to analyze it. You're trying.
Not curious.
Okay. And then while you're doing it, ano bang mga favorite food mo dyan na usually you munch on every time you watch a film or every time you're what's your favorite food or are you into Filipino food ba or minsan I like pasta so I like Italian, Chinese or
but try to eat healthy. So for instance, I read that eggplants and tomatoes are not good for you. Eggplant is a nightshade thing, and tomatoes bring you. There's something called lectin, and there's much lectin in food that destroys your colon, your digestive system. So diets that are low in lectins is good, and tomatoes and eggplants are high in lectin.
Nako, mahilig
so I try to avoid that. I try as much, but hindi mga available sa mga people. But the petcha is okay, cauliflower is okay, carrots are okay, but beans are not so okay. But mga ganyan. Even though I like munggo a lot, I try to be limit to it because it's, alam mo naman, baka uric acid din yan, and things of this sort. So that, but when I watch, I don't eat as much as drink. I like drinking water or drinking coffee or something like this. Just to entertain.
Okay. So, any new discovery of your talent? Nako, feeling ko naman kompleto na yung talent niya, Sir Ricky. Or baka meron ka pang na-discover lately na, oh my gosh, I'm very interested in this talent and that I actually want to pursue on. May ganun ka?
Alam mo, that's very interesting. Nung bata ako, mahilig ako kumanta. At sumasali ako sa pag may family party, ako filming na nanalo ng first prize sa family amateur singing contest. Right. That's where my performativity began. singing. Kaya I'm not as nervous with crowds in school because in the family I kept singing. And all the pop hits at that time. All right. During the pandemic, kasi walang magagawa, I took up singing again. All right. So I took an online course to sing. And I was, every after at 3 o'clock, I was in my here before my walk. I would be vocalizing, disturbing my neighbor. Ha 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 ha. Ang dami-daming mga ganyan scale. So after a while, sabi ko, hindi talaga ako magiging magaling. But anyway, but I tried anyway to start to sing. And then I would go to YouTube and look for minus ones, no? And then I would play the minus one and sing in front of the, from the camera. And things like that to hear myself. And every time I hear myself, ang pangit-pangit naman ang boses mo. But anyway, hindi ka makasustain ng note. Ang notes mo para walang ang breathing mo is so uneven. So anyway, I tried anyway to learn sing, trying to sing religious songs, church songs, romantic ballads, folk songs. So that's one, trying to regain a talent which I think I had before and lost, and now I think it will be lost again. So that's one skill that I thought that might be interesting.
At saka maganda, sir, kasi parang therapeutic din siya in a way, no?
Exactly. Wala ka mga pandemic, so I just did things like that. Meron pa ako isang ambition na mag-monologue sa screen. Alright. One of my favorite, I hope I can do this at one time, is alam mo yun kay Shakespeare, na 7 Ages of Man. Meron siyang from
all the worlds.
Magandang ano, di ba? From baby to an old man. Sun's teeth, sun's eyes, sun's hearing, sun's everything. Pag wala ka na, di ba? Ang ganda ng dramatic life. And I was hoping that somebody, Galan or Ron Capinding, can translate that for me. And I was going to deliver it in Filipino, in monologue. So that's also one of my little ambitions.
Ganda nun.
Kasi hindi ako nakakapag-act and things, and I've been offered, but I don't like the offers I've been made. So maybe I want to recite that monologue in Filipino.
Maganda nga.
Memorize it. Mga ganung monologues to in Filipino.
In Filipino.
So that's one of my dreams anyway for myself.
Yes.
Not singing, but reciting.
or probably pwede ma-incorporate, no, yung ilang lines doon na pakanta.
Tama. Yung mga ilang lines pwede naman yan. Character voices, hindi talaga singing.
Yes. And ako looking for, maganda yan kasi extracted to, itong monologue na binabanggit po ni Sir Ricky, extracted po from the play As You Like It, no?
As You
Like It, written by William Shakespeare. At talagang napakaganda nung material na yon, yung pyesa na yon. It talks about yung full full circle of life, no?
The full circle of life.
Start from baby hanggang sa
magandang old man and death. And you know, I think Pino translated it, but I want a new translation kasi merong mga reference doon pag ikaw binata, naging sundalo, para hindi bagay sa atin yan. Hindi normal yun. Yung isa naging professional pero judge siya. Pero merong ibang mga gano'n na kailangang ayusin ng konti para maging mas Pilipino yung dating ng 7 Ages of Man.
Sana magawa na ni Ron Capinding. Sir Ron! Si Sir Ron, i-interviewin ko yan soon. Malapit na.
Soon. Ako masarap ko usapin soon. Marami rin
sinasabi. At saka feeling ko marami siyang makukwento. Of course, fun.
Mas marami pa sa akin. At marami siyang jokes na magandang mga.
Po. At saka, of course, the humor, no? And kaya papunta na tayo sa yesteryears now. Pupunta na tayo doon sa how did you end being an educator and an artist at the same time? Ano ba to? Kumbaga parang nag-manifest na ba ito during the time that you were so young? And nabanggit mo na kanina na parang pag may mga singing contest, pag kayo kakanta, ako magvo-volunteer ka. It did start from there.
Yeah, that started there. But of course, I didn't think of it as a career. But although when I was young and I didn't have sociology yet, I thought that I would make a career out of nightclub singing. Yun pa rin ang mga modes noon. Kakanta sa nightclub with small groups there. And at one point, I wanted to be a disc jockey. You know, these are things that surrounded you, listening to the radio and TV. You know, mga careers, or a news announcer. Yung mga ganung klase nakikita ko yung mga ideal jobs ko. But teaching was something that I wanted to do for a long time. Bata pa ako, I wanted to teach. Hindi na ako sigurado kung elementary, high school, or college, or graduate school. Alright? The older I got, the more it seemed to me that nag-PhD na ako na I think I would be more useful in college and graduate school because I have an advanced degree. Parang masasayang yung PhD ko, nasa grade school ako ng teaching. No? So anyway, that's what I thought. So there. Of course, I was also doing theater in grade school, some in high school, some in college. But they were just extracurricular activities. They were not career things. Alright? At the time kasi wala ka pang makikitang career. Hindi po, wala pang Tanghalang Ateneo, wala pang DUP, wala pang repertory, wala pa when I was in high school. Wala pang Teatro Pilipino, there was just Barangay Theater Guild. So ang kitid ng opportunities for a young person who wanted to go to theater. So it couldn't be full-time. So, but I joined the college group kasi theater and I enjoyed it very much. Hindi ko alam kung paano I could shape it. When I went to New York for my graduate school, I was exposed to Broadway, all right? And I was taking sociology na. I was deep na into sociology, all right? But I was also, kasi foreign students kami, nabibigyan kami ng free tickets. Yung pag hindi puno yung show, mayroong isang center doon sa New York na pupunta lang mga foreign student doon, bibigyan ka ng free ticket. Okay. So almost every other day, I was going to the center. Ano bang free ticket dyan na pwede? Miski anong palabas, basta makapatungtong doon sa off-Broadway. Kanina off-Broadway ang hindi masyadong puno eh. But doon naman magagandang drama. Alright. So I was in theaters na 30 people, 20 people, na-expose na pwede pa na mag-theater. Nanood ko nilang Hamlet, 10 lang kami sa theater, sa stage, sa audience. Marami pa lang ganong klase na bunabong. Anyway, at one point I went to the theater and I admired the play. And at the end of the show, instead of going out of the door, I went towards the stage and I touched the stage and I said, one day I can be better. I'm better than you. I know I am better than you. I know I can do. Yung feeling ko na nakita ko sa'yo mag-act na okay naman. Sabi ko, yung magagawa, kaya ko rin yung ginagawa ninyo. At siguro mas magaling ako. So I knew then that even though I was in sociology, I really wanted to do theater. But acting at that point, I didn't know about directing. Acting at that point. Yun ang experience. Kaya pagbalik ko, nagtuturo na ako, may degree na ako, when Rolando Tino invited me to, whom I knew in college, but when he invited me to audition for Hamlet, and he was doing a bilingual, he knew I spoke English. I said, Ricky, can you come and audition for English? So I said, okay. So I read English. He said, okay. Ricky, can you read the Filipino? I got the same thing in Filipino. All right? And he said, oy, pwede ka pala mag-Filipino. Can you do both roles? I said, okay, fine. So I did Hamlet in 81, and from then on, sunod-sunod na yan with Rolando in teatro. Hindi na ako makaalis doon because now, I was now in my element. Okay, I didn't know anybody. There was a Ray Ventura, and there's Pen Medina, and there was Ray Malte Cruz, and there was Boji Pascua, mga bata pa sila. And sila mga veterano, I was with them. Eladuan Singh, Adur de Leon, dami-dami mga very famous, Nati Kramer Rogers, very, very popular. I was very new to this group. But I clicked very well with them, so I felt comradeship, with the theater people. And Rolando was always very inspiring pag nag-lecture siya on theater. Parang hindi ka lang umarte, parang may halaga yung ginagawa mo sa bayan at sa sarili mo. Parang ako nag-aral ulit ng in those 10 years. Parang ako nag-aral ulit ng AB Theater Arts sa kanya. So hindi ako makaalis sa theater, hindi na ako makaalis sa sociology. So kailangan kong buhay ko dalawa na lang. So that's why pag uwi sa bahay, prepare for class. After rehearsal, alas 6, prepare for class. Tapos pag walang theater, pag walang offer si Rolando na makast isang play, libre na ako, doon ako susulat ng mga articles ko at kung ano-anong kailangan gawin as sociology. Kung may palabas naman, kung may show, hindi ako muna susulat ng article ng mga scholarly papers. Hindi ako muna babasa. Sa play, theater naman ang babasahin ko. So for me, ganun, depende sa activity ko noon, yun ang gagawin ko. So it came to be that the two always coincided. Alright? Kaya nung dumating and there came a point na dumating na yung idea of post-colonial as a topic. Yung ako'y graduate school, hindi pa uso yung term na post-colonial. Kaya hindi ko pa alam kung ano ibig sabihin nun. Pero in my heart, I knew that, let's say, when I directed Shakespeare, that it had to be reinterpreted in another way.
Yes.
Okay? Tapos dating naman si Judy Ick, where I met him, a
Yes.
UP professor who said, Ricky, your work is so post-colonial. What? What is post-colonial with that work? Hindi ko alam. Because you know, you critique the colonial regime by doing this and that and that. Is that so? Yung ba, is that what post-colonial meant? So Judy and I became very close friends. And so I stumbled into this, not by intention, but by accident.
Yes.
All right? And it took people like Judy Ick, that's why I love her so much, to pinpoint that having Judy Ick after one, Ricky, you just direct whatever you want and let me be the one to write about it, okay? All right, so, and that's what happened. So I just directed things and then Judy would write something and then it gave her material for her papers. It also gave me quite a boost in my career.
Right.
And that was, you know, very important for anybody to be recognized by somebody like Judy, a professional like that, who sees something in your work that you didn't even notice. And for anybody who's in the theater, no matter how good you are, kailangan mo pa rin, even if you're confident, iba na rin yung may nag-validate sa'yo in terms of your work. Even just one work, so that you can more or less live up to a certain reputation and things like this. So I guess so that's what happened. I got encouraged in the theater, partly because I was with PA and I was enjoying my work, but partly because of validation by people like Judy, who made it so. And then Badong Bernal went to work with me. And Badong is very, very strict, but when he went to work with me, okay lang naman siya. All right, we got along very well. Validation na naman sa akin yun. All right, to work with Badong Bernal. So, so that's how I began to be more encouraged with the theater. So I owe Judy and Badong a great deal. Thanks for doing so.
Right.
So that Badong is dead, but Judy continues to be very supportive now. Yeah.
Opo. Actually, binabanggit ni Sir Ricky ay isang UP professor po yun, si Dr. Judy Ick, na I think nasa ano po siya, Department of Comparative English and Comparative Literature, DECL. At napakahusay po talaga niya, no, when it comes to acting. Opo, maarte din siya. Tapos ano din po siya, academic person din talaga po siya dahil she has a doctorate degree and she continues to teach, no. At the same time, yung binabanggit po ni Sir Ricky na Badong Bernal, national artist po natin yon. So sa mga generation today, nako, makatrabaho mo ang isang national artist, malaking bagay po iyon. And Salvador Bernal or Badong Bernal as known, ay isa sa mga mahaligi sa production design, no? Ang husay niya sa production design, no? And nakakatrabaho niya as a director si Dr. Abado, si Sir Ricky. And
how is siya national artist nung nag-start?
Oo, nung nagkatrabaho ko, hindi pa siya national artist. At ano ba siya, posthumous po or natanggap niya naman po?
No, natanggap na naman niya kasi inimbita niya ako sa Malacanang para mag-witness ng kanyang. So very nice, inimbita niya ako. Punta ka doon sa Malacanang para.
And just before the pandemic, no, nag-pass on na si Sir Badong. And nami-miss mo ba tong mga pakikipagtrabaho, no, sa mga different artists natin na because meron ka ba bang parang halos lahat po yata nakatrabaho niya na sina Sir Anton Juan, di ba? Nakatrabaho niya na si Dr. Anton Juan. Of course, si national artist din po si Sir Rolando Tino po, no? Isa sa mga napakahusay po sa literature and sa theater, kaya national artist siya for literature and theater. And then of course, even if you resided in Ateneo, no, kasi parang ang tagal niyo po, dekada na po talaga kayo nasa Ateneo, you still tried to really went out of your way to go to CCP, you go to, that's where you became known for, because you were so generous sharing your ideas and your experiences in professional companies, no, in other community theater groups. Saan nyo nakuha to? Because of the opportunities that came about, kaya tinatanggap nyo siya, or talagang you try to reach out to these institutions or companies para at least kahit papaano you can contribute something. How did you do that po?
How did I what? How did I
How did
got
you
into management?
how did you connect all of these, no, into your into your career, no, as an academic and as an artist? Hindi mo naman siya plinano, no? Hindi mo siya plinano.
No, you just take the day as it comes.
Yeah.
For instance, I never got close to PETA or repertory
Yeah.
because I met people there, but hindi naman ako hindi naman kami nagkaka-project together. So
Okay.
wala. But the other people, the other groups that I met, like I met Nati Kramer Rogers, tapos natin, oh, you just join my Sala Theater and then we will do something. Yun, I can work with them. And then I work with Anton Juan. Hi, Dricky, I have this group also now. So maybe you can join my group. And then so I joined this group.
Yes.
All right. And then Badong introduced me, sabi, Dricky, I hope you can direct for Tanghalang Pilipino. Let me talk to Nonon Padilla. So I talked to Nonon Padilla and Nonon gave me the chance to direct one play there. Two actually. So I got to be there. So depende sa contacts mo, kung ang contact mo at saka kung yung contact mo ay may tiwala sa iyo na makakaya mong gawin 'yon. Kaya ako nako-connect sa mga ibang institutions. So hindi pinaplano 'yon. It just comes out of your association with others, and that's how it develops. Okay. Yes. Siguro if I had a project with PETA, I would be more involved with PETA. If I was project with Bulwag Gantimpala, I would join those. Pero hindi. Even the Love Fest, I was never called for Love Fest, but because it's maybe only for young people, no, and new. So wala rin akong connection sa Love Fest. But so I'm not connected to them, but my students are, and I'm so happy for them that they are connected with Love Fest. Right? So I'm glad they're also doing that kind of connection. It also depends on whom they know.
Right.
It's like Badong told me about, Badong, dahil mo ng award, how did you get all of this? Ang sabi niya sa akin, quite cynically, but very important lesson, sabi niya, Ricky, ito mga award, depende lang kung sino yung kilala mo. Alright? So, and I learned a little bit na, it's also partly your talent, but talent that other people maybe see, and then, try to promote. I remember when Badong was,
Yes, sir. Siyempre yung siguro yung magandang relationship mo with the others, no?
Yes.
It establishes
Definitely.
that much.
Kung marami kang tinulungan,
yung mga values
at magaling ka,
right.
No problem. I remember kay Badong,
yes,
si Gino Gonzalez told me, Ricky, let's designer rin yan, magaling rin si Gino Gonzalez. Yeah, Ricky, let's try to get Badong national artist. Can you assemble something? Can you write something about this? So meron talagang mga tao na nagpo-promote, parang manager mo, nagpo-promote sa'yo talaga kasi ang dami-daming papeles na kailangan bago ka mag-apply ng national artist. Yung curriculum vitae mo na napakahaba, yung mga statement mo, yung mga ibang awards mo, dapat may proof ka noon. So ang dami-dami. So Gino was really was helpful in mobilizing all of these documents and materials and people. Kaya pagdating sa committee meeting, kompleto na yung mga papeles ni Badong at marami na siyang supporters. Yes. Okay, so there's a bit of that strategizing that involves in getting national art, aside from your talent.
Yes,
your network actually.
Yeah. Sir, did you ever think that sociology is a good partner with arts?
Never.
With theater?
Only later, when I'm in sociology. Then I discovered that meron palang sociology of art. All right? Meron palang sociology of theater. The first book I ever saw that convinced me was Teaching Sociology Through Science Fiction Literature. Okay? So lahat ng mga konsepto ng sociology, family, inequality, social change, merong yung author, naghanap siya ng mga science fiction kwento na base dun sa konsepto. Sabi ko, pwede palang gano'n, na pwede turuan mo yung konsepto ng sociology sa pamamagitan ng kwento na science fiction. At bumukas yun sa akin na marami palang aspect of theater na pwede mong tahakin sa artistic forms. Okay. And so tapos nagkaroon ng major ang performance studies later on. Meron palang ganon na you can get a degree in performance studies na mas malawak pa sa sociology theater. Tapos anthropology, may mga kaibigan anthropology, meron silang anthropology of performance. Yung mga sayaw-sayaw na obando ritual, yung mga sayaw-sayaw sa mga baryo, yun pala ay may kahulugan na anthropologically in their communities. So napag-aaral nila yung cultural origins ng ating mga sayaw, ng ating mga kwento, ng ating mga practices like bayanihan and things of this sort. Doon ko nalaman na may connection yung sociology sa art. And even now, I can see the connection very well.
Right.
Especially when we talk about audiences. Anong psychology at sociology of audiences.
Right.
Very important thing.
Ganda nga nun. And actually, ngayon medyo nagfo-float na po yan di ba? Yung mga interdisciplinary approaches in the theater, let's say, or in in the arts in general. And ito ba na-share mo to sa classroom nyo? Di ba nagtuturo po kayo ng mga estudyante, undergrad, graduate. So, somehow it influences you also by those kinds of interactions.
Yeah. When I talk about directing, of course, it's not only the craft, but if you talk about other things, how you come to a concept, how you come to this thing. One of my regrets is I never got to teach theater theory. Okay, that came much later because I did my own readings. But it's being taught now. I think Gilan teaches it now. But if I had taught that, kasi ang gandang merge yun, kasi meron yan Marxist approaches to the theater. Kunyari, mga linguistic, semiotic approach to the theater. Ang dami-daming fields na pwedeng malaman ng student. Ang lawak pala niya na hindi lang ang pagtingin mo sa isang theater piece ay maraming perspective yung kinukuha. No? So yun ang very sociological rin. Ang dami-daming perspectives na pwedeng gawin. So that is one of the things that are very interesting to see. And when you analyze, they said, drama is supposed to be a mirror to society. Okay? So anong pinapakita natin sa mirror na yan? Okay, that is where sociology comes in. Right. When you say, what in society are we trying to show? Well, if you're only showing melodrama, pinapakita mo lang ba that life is all emotional, that life is all a fantasy, that there will always be happy endings? Or is that the life you want to show in that mirror? Or is it something else? So that you have to analyze what is it that people see. And if you keep showing the same mirror of melodrama, people will begin to think in melodramatic terms. Yeah. All right? People will expect happy endings all the time, but not all endings are happy. People will think that life is black and white and not grays. So, kasi sa melodrama, malino yung good, malino yung evil. Right. Malino yung kontrabida, malino yung bida. Sa totoong buhay, hindi ganon. Yung bida pwede na kontrabida. And so vice versa. A healthy person can be very sickly, and a sickly person can be... maraming ganong klaseng mga kombinasyon sa totoong buhay na hindi na-explore ng writer kasi ang mirror na pinapakita natin ay napaka-simple at simplified. Simplified. Alright? And so I hope that... and the secret is playwriting. The playwright is the main thing, the screenwriter. Right. Many say I'm writing for the masses kasi ang masses naman kasi hindi makaintindi. Yun ang tingin mo sa masa. Ang baba ng tingin mo sa masa kung isip mo, ang lang maintindihan nila. Yeah. But anyway, the thing is, sociology comes in there. How do you show the complexity of people? If you study society, you will know things are complex. All right? That the things are not that easy. Okay. Sabi nga Tino, you know what makes basketball exciting? Sabi niya. Because the two teams, like Ateneo UP, na natalo kami. Congratulations, Joey. All right? Congratulations. I'm so happy that you won the championship.
After 36 years. Yeah.
No, that's why I don't feel bad about losing. Anyway, but Ateneo UP, parehong mga ganun yung team. At saka, pag naglalaban sila, parehong protagonist, equal weight ang powers nila. Alright? At saka, may limitation sila, hindi complete. But they really struggle minute by minute to win and get the point. Kaya up to the last moment, napaka-exciting ng basketball game. Sabi niyo, why can't we write scripts like basketball games na talagang cliffhangers and dami-dami excitement and complicated? Oo, yung ganon. After a while, all right. So that's the ideal anyway. How can we? Every time I look at script, I look at the bida and the content. Whoever look at the bida, equal ba ang weight? Ang tension ba lumilitaw sa play na ito o sa script na ito? So very important as director that you know that if you want up your play good, you have to keep your protagonist and antagonist of equal fight. O dapat may challenge yung dalawa para magmukhang exciting yung dula. No? Yes. Things of this sort. So anyway, that's where sociology comes in anyway. When you try to how complicated this thing is. Because I'm at a literature major. some scholars like Tino, they will draw from literary knowledge, all right, to reach the same insight. I achieved the same insight through sociology, which tells me about the complications of human life. All right. So, sabi ni Rolando, pag nag-theater ka, be sure you also know your literature. Ako naman, be sure you also know society. All right. Because they will tell you more about what you are doing and how it relates to the world around you. Otherwise, we'll only have melodramas and entertainment pieces, which will make money, but I don't know how that will help society as a whole. Alright? How para makakaangat na ating diwa bilang Pilipino at bilang mamayan ng Pilipinas.
Kaya nga maganda, Sir Ded, no, na talaga ma-introduce sila sa mga absurd plays, yung mga ganon, yung mga plays that really make you think, no, plays that really meant to somehow inform, no, hindi ma-educate, no. So ilapit natin sa masa is to inform, no, na meron such thing as those pieces, no, yung mga non-real na napaka-importante din sa epekto ng buhay ng mga Pilipino. And these actually I have seen a lot of your works way back, lalo na yung kasagsagan na talagang nag-musical na kayo, gumagawa na kayo ng very complex pieces, hindi lang siya simpleng straight play na talagang big musicals na kahapon, ngayon at bukas, all of these and then the Othello na sobrang gustong-gusto ko yung Othello, Merchant of Venice. Now, all of these mga Shakespearean pieces na talagang namamangha ako every time I watch inside the Ateneo. Meron ka pa bang mga gustong mga pieces, material, playwrights, works na gustong-gusto mo pa rin up to now na parang gustong-gusto ko tong gawin? May ganun ka as a director?
Meron naman, pero hindi ko pa alam kung anong play. Kasi ngayon ang aking term is, I have to deconstruct now. Okay? I cannot do Shakespeare now. Shakespeare is loved in Filipino, pero hindi ko na yata matake yung taking the material as it is and not deconstructing it in a way that is more meaningful for the Philippines.
Right.
Like we did with Santang Dalisay, i-deconstruct ko yan in terms of the story and use a Filipino poem in its place. But for instance, if I do King Lear, King Lear will have to be somebody else that I have imagined who that Lear will be in the Philippines. Maybe I'll make King Lear a Filipino citizen, an abstract citizen or something, going through that period of something like this. All right. Or maybe I'll make a King Lear like how is this? Like a Duterte who's seducing. I don't know what it is, but I will have to think more about what it is. But I'm interested in deconstructing things like that. I'm interested in trying to get classical plays and then kind of using it as a take off for other points, like I get a classic thing and but I need help from. I can give the idea, but I need also the work of playwrights who are also dramaturgs, who are eager to do these deconstructions and show it. I'm also interested in doing theater for children, because I think the consciousness very early should be in children. For instance, the awareness that to be different is okay. All right, you cannot always conform. To be creative is a secret of a good life, an imaginative life. All right, I want to show that to kids, and I want them to. I want to do Midsummer Night's Dream for children, again to show that the world is not as black and white, and that strict parents can be redeemed, and whatever it is that, and there's a world of fantasy and spirit out there that will help you actually. And they are wonderful spirits, and they're mischievous, but they will help you if you can harness their energies very well. Yung mga ganong klaseng theme, but to change them somehow to make them more inspiring for young people to watch. So Shakespeare becomes the vehicle by which I can instill creativity among children and inspiration and hope, and maybe even their mental health. So that's one of my dreams also. Or the Arabian Nights in Filipino. In fact, I talked to Kate Sabate already. Kate Sabate, your friend, And then I said, ate, let's do Arabian Nights, but imbes na Arab stories, kumuha tayo ng mga kwento ng mga tausog at mga samal, mga kwentong ganon, little stories, buuin natin yan, magkikwento si Harazad. So, but as we go on, people will see the ingenuity of the Filipino, people will see the creativity and the fun and the imagination. We celebrate that in a play for children. We call it Tawi-Tawi Nights or something like this. I do not know what. But
Ang ganda! Ang ganda!
Parang ganong idea na nakikita ko na isa pang play na gusto kong gawin. Na very magical. Gusto kami flying carpet pa. I don't know how to do it.
Ganda!
But yung mga ganong lang. But those are ideas that I have now. I don't know whether I have time to do it or the thing. But those are the dream. I keep dreaming about this thing. But for children is another one of my main concerns.
Yes.
Now, if I can work only with a children's group who will like a children's theater, who can work with them because they have the audience, you see. They can watch the, and then tapos na marketing ko. All I do is do the play and tapos na marketing is song. All right. So I'm also looking for that now. How do you do plays that the marketing is already built into the story? Like I'm doing opera. I want to do opera. I mentioned once in a meeting with the Italian ambassador that one of my favorite pet projects is to stage, maybe in concert version, even in concert version, Puccini's La Bohème, translated by Rolando Tino in Filipino. And it was done in 1976, but we can do it again. Yeah. And the Italian ambassador is an opera buff pala. So 2 weeks later, he said, if you're still interested, we're willing to help in 2024. Secret pa ito ha. My volition is secret. Now it's open already. Pag hindi natuloy, kawawa ako. Okay? Mahihiya talaga ako dito. Pag hindi natuloy, pag nag-back out ang Italian ambassador, may mahihiya dito. Okay. A secret ng public released document. So edit this, pag iba natin na problem.
You don't edit it, sir. So, hindi, pero sir, dahil nga nababanggit mo na yon yung ambassador, so nakikita mo yung kahalagahan ng relationship mo with the external factors, the external people who can actually help. Do you see yourself like being offered to be like an artistic director, let's say, of CCP, all of these mga institutions that can really umbrella many projects that can actually give hope to your, of course, to your dreams for the country, di ba? Kasi minsan kailangan para mabigyan ng position, let's say NCCAA chair, ganun. Like what happened to Sir Nick Lizazo? Sir Nick Lizazo has just recently, di ba, been offered of the position kahit na medyo kasi nakatrabaho ko si Sir Nick but he's part of the UP of the Repertory Philippines. And then he went to television, no, and so I got to work with him by chance, and then nakita ko na, and then he was offered, no, so and then nagagawa niya yung mga gusto niyang gawin, no, of course with the support of the government. Do you see yourself being offered soon in the future, ganon? And
no, I don't really. Nor do I aspire for anything. If it comes, we'll see what happens. I do not know kasi whether those things come with some strings attached or some obligatory something. It might dull the critical aspect of what I want to do. So I'm careful about that. And I'm very happy for Nick because he's older than me, but he has a lot of energy and passion that drives him to all of these things. And I don't know whether I can follow his sense of energy, but no, I have no ambitions for others. For instance, confidential about another. Some years ago, Nanding Joseph wanted to leave TP, but his bosses there didn't want to. Okay, but so Nanding confidentially asked me if I wanted to be kasi pag-submit niya ng resignation, gusto niya siguro na meron siyang alternative na ibibigay. Okay, so sabi, Ricky, interesado ka ba? Sabi ko, ewan ko, pero kung pangalan lang ang gusto mo, ilagay mo na rin dyan. Okay, in the end, that didn't happen because the TP really wanted Nanding to be the artistic director of Tanghalang Philippines. And he still keeps that post. And he's doing an excellent job in his work. But that was the only time, I think, when opportunity came to possibly do something bigger than Ateneo. And at that point, I didn't know what to do with it. If you gave it with me, I had to give it some thought. So wala na akong ambition for that. I think my job at RT gives me a chance to think about these ideas, and it forces me to put together resources, human and material, to realize it. There's always Tanghalang Ateneo I can approach because Gelan and Glenn Mas are always welcome me with open arms there. So that's a venue that I can go to. Yes. But there are all other, in Bayani, I just did it myself with an audition. Everybody came from everywhere. All right. So, and it worked. So that might also be a thing. I have students who run theater companies in Marikina and so on. I can tap them for help. So I have many kind of resources I can pull to. So, yeah, the thing is, if you work for TP or you work for others, you will be locked in a particular agenda of the institution, whatever they want. And I don't know whether my ideas will, kung mag-align yon o hindi ko alam. So I can do the work kung, if you need it, but dapat magkasundo kami sa vision ng aming vision. So that's the thing. And I'm old already kasi, so medyo naka-stuck na yung vision dyan. Hindi ako pwedeng banjing experiment ako ano ng vision. But anyway, that's the thing.
Okay. So, any more parang kasi papunta na tayong tomorrow, no? So any more parang undertakings or mga forthcoming visions that you can think of na you would do in the next few years?
Yeah. As I said, several. I told you about my theater projects that I really want to do. But there are things that are non-stage things, but also I think important for the theater we should do. I think one of the projects I have that will be realized in June and July is I want to have a forum, a discussion on the future of Philippine theater. Because of the pandemic, we all experienced lockdowns, students develop online skills, and many things are happening. And we learn many things about society. We learn how we have to be together. We learn how inequalities are so. Yung bang pag mahirap kang bansa, walang darating na bakuna sa iyo at kayo mahihirapan. Pag maraming tao sa like India, ang hirap-hirap magkaroon ng recovery rate. So inequalities become rampant at saka yung nakaw at yung sakim ng mga mayayamang bansa na nag-hoard ng gamot, na ayaw magbigay ng gamot, na ayaw mga kapitalistang pharmaceutical companies na ang tataas magsingil at saka kung sino ang binibigyan nila, yung mga may kaya. Yun ang lumilitaw na malaki sa akin sa pandemya. Ngayon, pagkatapos ng pandemya, with that awareness, how are we going to do theater now after the pandemic? With the dependence on technology, we've got to know about inequalities. At ngayon naman, pag sa election na ito, na resulta, ang dami na namang idea, may nagsasabing gumawa tayo ng ibang klaseng theater, mag-stage readings tayo ng kung ano-ano, ang dami ng forms. So one of the things I want to do first is to sit back among theater people and say, we can't predict the future, but what do we see in the future? Yeah. And I want to ask, precisely, young theater makers, all right? Kasi sila ang hahawak ng teatro in the next 10, 20 years, all right? So I invited 3 young people, si Gelan, si Kate Sabate, at saka si Eric ng MSU IIT, to sit down in a panel with me, supported by heads of schools like Dibo Fernandez, Dennis Marasigan, Ami Bonifacio, Potts Turner of PNU. And then, meron kami ng Association of Philippine Theater Schools. So ang daling kong makuha ito mga.
Right.
And we sit down together and then we talk about what do you see in Philippine theater? What do the young people see? And have a discussion. And then, ano implications sa training ng mga students natin? All right? There's one idea that I had before in talking to people from Scotland. a thing called creative producing. In other words, yung student ay maging self-producing agent. Ako ang graduate ng theater, hindi ako mag-uupo lang at maghihintay ng audition. Gagawa ako ng production, sarili ko, kasi marunong ako mag-act, direct, produce, market, publicity and marketing. Sa pandemya, ginagawa ko lahat yan kasi hindi lockdown ako. Alright? So, nakadevelop ako ng skills sa lahat-lahat na yan. Kaya pag i-formalize natin yung training na yan, ako yung magiging self-producing agent. Kahit akong bagong theater graduate, I can do theater. I may not do it at the Hyundai Theater or the Metropolitan Theater, but I can do something in a venue. Because in the future, maybe, the venues, the important venues are not going to be the stage. It can be the school. It can be a hospital. It can be a sidewalk. It can be a train station. If I'm a self-producing agent, I will do theaters there in those places. And that may be the thing to bring theater to the people. All right? So that's one future vision I see. But I want, that's an old man looking at things. But maybe the young people have other things they have in mind. All right? Pinalito mo sa bayan. Historical revisionism and the fears that things like that. What will happen? Merong balita daw na mag-walk out daw yung mga artists from CCP dahil daw, of course, that venue is Imelda. Saan pupunta? Saan pupunta? Hindi ko alam. But we must address problems like that in this. Kung talagang magkakaroon ng backlash on the Marcoses and their values and their ideals, how is theater going to react to this? Will theater become politicized? All right? Or can it remain neutral but critical but objective? Hindi ko alam. All right? But theater people are not neutral. Theater people are always taking a position.
Right.
So how can we make a position at the same time be more open to other things? And important, how can we have that balance? I have a position, but I can also listen to you. You know, kind of classes. But yun ang aking isang project I see. Not theaters, but something like a reflexive look at Philippine theater in the future for young people, and we will see how that impacts it. So that's one of my projects.
Ganda.
The other thing I say is to do a place or program that I hope will attract many students who otherwise will not watch. For instance, concerts, philharmonic concert, opera. Very few of our students have seen opera live.
No.
Very few of our students see, aside from rock concerts, musical concerts, symphony orchestras live. And it makes a whole lot of difference if you see them live kasi yung talagang vibrations ng mga instrumento at ng boses ay talagang papasok sa loob.
Right.
At nakaka-addict yung ganun. So, yun ang gusto kong makita. Hindi lamang pang elite yung mga opera at concert na puro mga senior citizens ang nanonood. Right? But really, young people going there listening to this Filipino conductor doing these things and Filipino singing opera in their language, parang it's a continuation of Rolando Tino's challenge.
Yeah.
Nag-challenge na ito, sinali niya sa Filipino, pero hindi niya agad napalaganap kasi walang nag-pick up. So kailangan may mag-pick up ng ginawa niya at saka ipalaganap pa. Alright? Para may continuity ng ginagawa niya sa hanggang ginagawa niya.
Yes.
Yeah. So yun ang ibang mga naisip ko mga project. At kung matuloy yung children's play this year, well, that's good. Napag-usapan na natin yung kung anong pwedeng gawin.
Ganda, ang daming yung mga plans na to will really be will be actualized, no, and hopefully of course with the support of the many sectors, not just only the educational institutions but yung mga other commercial, yung mga other mainstream companies that could actually help and prosper our history in the arts, no, and our history and in terms of culture, in terms of our continuity of our preservation of these pieces, materials, no, written by stalwarts ay napaka-importante po at mapapahalagahan yan kung ma-actualize, no, ng isa sa ating mga great thinkers of today, si Dr. Abada. Hindi lang siya so thinker, siya po ay critical na nag-a-analisa, no, ng mga kaparaanan kung paano madugtong ang ating na-intervent na pandemic at kung paano ito madudugtong sa ating future generation. At ganun po siya mag-isip. Kaya nako, papunta na tayo sa last part, Sir Ricky. Dahil lahat ng ito ay naikwento mo sa amin ng napakabilis at kulang na kulang sa oras pa. Pero siguro hingi na lang tayo ng konting payo mula sa inyo, no, para doon sa mga listeners natin and viewers who are really much younger than our generation. Ganyan.
Ito ang sabi ko. Alam mo, meron akong may nangyari doon after the elections na gusto ata mag-academic walkout yung mga students natin away from school. At siguro okay mag-walkout ng ilang araw or something, pero kailangan bumalik rin sila sa pag-aaral. Kasi ang hope natin sa future, whether you're doing theater or not, ang basis nun ay critical thinking, which you get from schools, which you get from teachers. At kung ikaw a theater person, critical thinking will help you analyze, understand your place and how you do it. Kasi ganito ito. I did a study last year on Philippine protest behavior in the Philippines. And I found that very few people in the Philippines are really active in making protests. And the people who are active in making protests have one thing in common, that they value democracy and that they were willing to fight for it because they understood its importance. Right? So I think what is important for us is to develop this awareness that we have to defend our democracy, all right, and be watchdogs of any violations of democracy, and we have to create our own pressure group. This is what I hope that the volunteers of Lenny and other interested parties can do. But you need education to be a critical citizen, all right? And the hope of our democracy and the hope of our future, all right, against populist leaders or authoritarian leaders is kung leader man sila, ang citizenry ay alert. Ang citizenry ay handang lumaban, hanggang tumutol kung ang ginagawa mo ay hindi napipili. Right? That's how many democracies survive. You always have to fight for it all the time. All right. Whether in the theater or not, you have to fight for the ideals of democracy, of free speech, of equality, of fairness, and things like this. These are the ideals that you should have, whether you're doing theater or not theater.
Yeah.
And if our theater can link to that cause, then I think we're doing something meaningful for the Philippines and for society as a whole. We're not just doing entertainment. We're entertainment plus something else, all right? Plus something else. And the plus something else is very important. But you need an education to do that, all right? Personally, sa Philippines, malakas yung religion. But religion only teaches you that may good and evil. This is something I don't like to promote religion. This is very bad for me. Kasi minsan lang, pag you promote religion, it doesn't mean that everything is good and evil. Kasi it's not a fight between good and evil. It's a fight between people who, well-intentioned people. The people who are under the authority feel that they are patriots, feel that they are doing good for their country. The people who are finally feel that they are pareho silang for the country. So, anong kaibahan? At bakit yung isa naging evil, yung isa naging good? Alright? If you do religion, it will just be good in terms of what the Holy Mother Catholic Church says. But it's not enough. Alright? Dapat magiging mas, like yung sabi sa mga plays, dapat ang characters mo ay medyo complicated ng konti. At so I think only a critical mind can tackle. So to me, ang payo ko sa iba, keep studying, keep thinking, and keep questioning. All right, and learn to speak up. All right, because it's only when you speak up that the others listen. And if you speak up together, then your voice is bigger. And if we in the theater and non-theater can speak up, then that's good. We not only give inspiration, like the artist in Lenny giving inspiration, but also a critical look at how we should see society. It's not enough to give inspiration. It's all heart. Use the head sometimes, right? Because if it's all heart,
wala din.
it's easy to get hurt. It's easy to get hurt. It's when you fall in love and it's all heart, a little thing, you're broke. I mean, talagang heartbroken ka talaga. Ang hirap mga, So you have to use the head a little more, even though we have heart, use the head also. We have to learn how to discipline head and heart, Imbis na puro emotion, kasi nothing will happen if you're all emotional. You'll just get depressed, all right? Kasi wala kang backseat, wala kang mapupuntahan iba. Wala kang, hey, wait a minute, something, I have to think through this time. Wala kang ganun eh, sugod na lang sugod.
Right.
Okay? At kaya, yan ang trado ni Bonifacio. Sugod na sugod. Okay, sige.
Ayan, ako narinig na natin mula kay Dr. Ricky Abad ang mga wisdom and experiences. And of course, yung mga ano niya, yung journey niya sa buhay niya, no, nung when he entered arts and of course sociology profession. And I'm pretty much sure na up to now ay talagang weapon niya ito, no, sa kanyang pagpupunyagi pagdating sa pagiging kritikal at pagiging malikhain. At dahil dyan, pupunta na tayo sa choices and preferences. Ito parang mabilisan.
Nakatakot ito. Okay.
Hindi, trivial lang to na parang pipili lang kayo ng isang word. Okay? Hello or goodbye?
Hello.
Okay. Wait, ha?
What are you doing?
Okay, morning or evening?
Evening.
Evening. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Sunrise. Okay, dry or wet?
Wet all the time.
Okay. Long or short?
Let's see. I'm older now, so short.
Okay. So in whatever context that is, adobo or sinigang?
Sinigang.
Okay. Fried or steamed?
Fried.
Okay. Sweet
Bad
or
habit.
salty?
Oh, that's very interesting. Very interesting. I think salty.
Salty. All right. Soy sauce or vinegar sauce?
Vinegar.
Okay. Chicken or pork?
Pork.
Pork. Okay.
Bad again for me, but okay.
Okay. Cafe or resto?
Resto. More choices.
Okay. Townhouse or condo?
Condo.
Condo. Yung where you are now, condo po yan?
No, it's a private house.
It's a house. Okay. Theater or film?
Theater, of course.
Yeah. Island life or city life?
City life.
City life. On or off?
On.
On. Okay. Gising or tulog?
Ako half state. Okay. Tulog. Gusto kong tulog. Gusto kong mahiga.
Tulog. Formal or casual?
Casual.
Okay. Black or white?
White. I think it's a nice color.
Rainy.
Pattern.
Yeah, fashion. Rainy or sunny?
Sunny. I like sunny.
Okay. With groups or alone?
With groups.
Groups. And I'm sure meron naman kayong me time, no? Yung sarili nyo lang, no? At and with that, maraming salamat, Sir Ricky. We're done with the episode.
Oh, really? That went fast.
Yes, and sobrang nakakabitin nga eh. Pero grabe, it's a very packed episode with a lot of learnings, a lot of sharings. Thank you so much po, Sir Ricky, and I do hope that you continue what you do because what you do is what makes you so energetic and alive. And that makes you also very youthful pa rin when it comes to your way of thinking and the preservation of the vision and the dreams and all of these aspirations. So that
some people will listen and take action also para hindi sayang. Never mind. If they don't listen, I'll just keep talking and giving ideas.
Right. Pero ang busog na busog kami sa mga shinare mo today, and I do hope na you will continue do what you do, of course, in Ateneo continuously, and of course in mga other neighboring sectors that you are being needed, no, for whatever talk, or like yung tinulungan nyo kami sa Arellano, no, when you get to share your insights about creativity, no, in the pandemic, ay magandang tulong yon para sa amin sa graduate school sa Arellano. Of course, continually nakikipag-collaborate pa rin tayo sa mga UP friends o UP campuses of different institutions as well as other schools po. And maraming salamat for
Thank you.
Yes, Sir Ricky, for being part of our lives. No, marami kami. Libo-libong tao po ang nakasalubungan. Baka nga milyon-milyon na sa dami ng mga estudyante na nadaanan ninyo rin, Sir Ricky, sa mga actors nyo. And I'm very much sure na lahat kami ay thankful sa inyong pag-share sa amin ng inyong talento. Thank you so much, and I will see you. Thank you po. I will see you again next week for CONVO Confessions and Volitions with yours truly, Joey Ting, at kasama po natin, of course, for today's episode, si Dr. Ricky Abad. Thank you so much. Bye everyone. See ya.
Bye-bye.